John, you can do this. You just go and you don't look back.
My whole life, I prepared my son to lead humanity in the fight against the machines.
On this night, we take back our world!
But there was one thing I could never prepare him for.
The machines tried to rig the game, send a Terminator back to the time before the war, to kill my mother.
I'll go back. Let me save her.
Come with me if you want to live. Kyle Reese?
You know who I am?
We've been prepping for you to arrive for over a decade.
We. The Terminator.
It is nice to meet you.
I've been trying to teach him to blend in. I know it needs work. John,
Hi, Mom.
How can you be here? What are you doing?
John!
what have they done to my son?
Survival was what you taught me.
Where is he?
Get out. Not machine. Not man. I'm more.
I can't leave him.
Whatever they did to John, we need to reverse it.
Everything's changed. We are humanity's last hope. Load up.
I've been waiting for you.
You gotta get him off me!
I'll be back.
What?
I just got out of Terminator 3. Sorry. Well, actually, yeah. Terminator 3. The real T3. You're gonna have to excuse me because my thoughts are really scatterbrained, random. But if what I just said is any indication, just wanted to, wait, this is receipt. Where's the fucking ticket? Terminator Genisys. Just saw it, just walked out a few minutes ago, and it hasn't totally sunk in yet, but I agree with James Cameron in the interview he did, calling this the real T3, because it was better than the second two. It was better than 3, the other 3, and it was better than Salvation. Not as good as the first 2, of course, that's a given, but I'm fucking satisfied, man. I liked it. I expected not to like it, but I did. How can I explain this? Started off in the future, sort of setting up the beginning of the first one. You sort of see like what Kyle explained in the first one, when like the whole like what he was explaining to Dr. Silverman in the interrogation room in the first one. That's kind of the prologue for this one, you know, in the future war and all that. You see him get sent back, and you see how John Connor becomes the villain. I'm sure that's not a spoiler at this point because the trailer already spoiled that. He was a good villain. I thought the villain was, well, I thought the T-1000 was going to be more of the villain than John Connor was, but yeah, John Connor was the main villain. I don't know the actor's name. I think it's Jason Clarke. But you did a pretty good job. Jai Courtney really surprised me as Kyle Reese. I didn't like him in Die Hard 5. Thought he was going to be the same, you know, wooden character with no personality. And don't get me wrong, you know, he's not as good as Michael Biehn was, but he was good enough. I can't really explain how, but maybe it was the direction, maybe he was just right for the part. I don't know, but I thought he had more personality. I thought he was a little more intense than some of the other reviewers did, you know, when they saw the pre-screenings. What else? Sarah Connor, Emilia Clarke, not as good as Linda Hamilton, but you know, she's not quite as tortured. She doesn't make you forget Linda Hamilton, but I liked her performance. She was tough enough, you know. It's pretty much the same old Sarah Connor from like T2, except a little bit younger and a little less tortured, like I said. She was good enough. And what else? Again, like I said, my thoughts are random, so I'm trying to think, what else can I say about it without spoiling too much. The action scenes weren't as memorable as the first two. There was no big memorable set piece like even the crane scene in the other T3. But they had tension. I was on the edge of my seat. They had good dialogue to accompany them. They had nice little surprises and things that they sort of flipped on you that you were expecting. That, you know, there was certain things were predictable, and then certain things were unpredictable. And it was mainly the stuff they, you know, flipped on you from the first T1. You know, there were times when I thought, oh, this is going to happen, but then something else happens. What else? I thought the character development was adequate. It was entertaining. I thought the drama and the comedy were balanced well. I mean, I know a lot of Terminator purists out there would hate that, you know, there's comedy in it. I mean, you know, there was comedy and there was humor. Yeah, maybe that's a better word, humor in the first two. It was kind of okay. I thought the humor was more balanced than, say, T3 was. It was a little overly comedic. And then Salvation was a little bit too serious and boring. I know I liked it when it first came out, but, you know, kind of loses some of that on repeat viewings. But it had good drama, adequate character development, well-placed humor. It wasn't as one-linery. The dialogue, I mean, it wasn't as one-linery, although there were some one-liners. And surprisingly, they didn't make me cringe. I could only think of maybe one one-liner that could be cringe-worthy for some people, but it didn't bother me. I can't remember what it is, but I can only remember the scene that it. Oh God. I can remember the scene that was in, but not a big deal to me anyway. Let's see. Miles and Denny Dyson were in the movie. Not really big parts, but they served the story well enough, and they basically created Skynet, which is now Genisys. You know, it's a little bit different than the original timeline, but I thought it was interesting how they did it. What else could I say without spoiling it? The ending was good. The final, you know, scenes leading up to the ending were really intense. The CGI was passable. I don't think it was bad like some other people did. And the reason I say passable instead of like revolutionary is because they're basically on par with T2's CGI. And that was back in '91, so, you know, I'm a little used to that quality of CGI. So, of course, it's not going to blow me away like it did back then. But it got the job done. It was good enough. Yeah, I'm kind of running out of things to say without spoiling it. I mean, not that there's much to spoil, because a lot of it was spoiled in the trailer. And that's probably one of the movie's biggest flaws, is its trailer, because it revealed way too much. If John Connor being the villain were, you know, kept a secret, a surprise, that would have made that twist a lot more, you know, would have had a lot more impact. Sorry about all the ums and uhs. Like I said, it's my first impression. I'm gonna need to see it again. I'm gonna see it again to form a better opinion. Yeah, best way I could sum it up is I agree with James Cameron. This is a real T3. I could see why he liked it. And part of me really wants to recommend this movie to people, but the other part of me knows that I can't speak for everybody. I know a lot of people are going to hate this movie no matter what, and that's fine. All I can say is, you know, if you're interested in seeing it, see it for yourself, judge it for yourself. Don't take my word for anything. All I could say is it was pretty fucking good. I don't feel that sense of disappointment that I did when I walked out of the other T3. I feel like this made up for it. If you're willing to put aside all your baggage as a fan or a purist, you might kinda like this movie. The keywords here are might and kinda, because again, I'm such a big fanboy for Terminator that I'm a little biased. So maybe I was predisposed to like this movie, but in all honesty, I'm just really satisfied with what I just saw. And there's a chance you might be too, as long as you're willing to accept the fact that it's not going to be as good as the first two. It's not going to be exactly like the first two. There's going to be differences that might fuck with your expectations or your baggage or whatever you want to call it. But just keep an open mind if you're going to go see it. Keep an open mind. Accept the fact that it's not going to be as good as the first two. Lower your standards and lower your expectations. You know what? Watch, if you're going to watch it, if you're going to watch reviews before you watch it, try to stay away from positive reviews like this one. Or if you come across any negative reviews, focus on those. Take their word for it. Expect to hate it. Expect it to be shitty. Because that's what I did. And it really fucking surprised me. My expectations were extremely low. My standards were low. So I went in thinking it was gonna be okay, or thinking it was gonna suck. Expect it to suck. And maybe you'll be surprised. Maybe. So that's all I got to say about it for now. Thanks for watching. Take care.